Good morning, students. Welcome to online class. This is Sheila, your computer science teacher. In last class, we saw it was an interesting topic, right? We saw about goat, farmer, grass problem, isn't it? As well, we saw chameleon problems, isn't it? It was very interesting, isn't it? So this lesson is all about algorithms. Now let us proceed with the next topic. Building blocks of algorithm. See, we construct an algorithm based on these things only. What are they? Data, variables, control flow, functions. So what is data? Data, we already know what is the data, isn't it? What is the data? Tell me, what is the data? Algorithms that can take the input data, process the data, produce output data. Computer provide instructions to perform operations on data. See, generally your algorithms take the input as data. See, your data is nothing but an unprocessed information, isn't it? It is not going to have any complete information. It is just going to have some contents which is not going to be very clear. So what does it do? It takes all the data from the as an input and it processes the data and finally it produces the output. Fine. So what does your computer does? It provides instructions to perform operations on data. What sort of instructions? Say for example, the first data that I am going to get is 5. The second data that I am going to get is 15. Third, the operation that I am going to perform is addition. In such a case, what is the operation that I am going to perform? Addition. That is going to be an instruction. Fine. So what am I going to do with the data that I've got? I'm going to perform addition. 5 plus 15 is going to be added up and that will be the result. Is that clear, children? For example, for performing arithmetic operations on numbers such as add, subtract, multiply and divide, there are different kinds of data such as numbers and text. Next comes your variables. Variables are nothing but the names that is actually available for the data. Say for example, I cannot simply call A, right? A is just a value. A is just a variable. 2 is just going to be a value. So when we do operations on the data, that will be stored in the name of a variable. Say for example, A is equal to 2. What does it mean? 2 is assigned to a variable called A. So which is a variable here? A is a variable, 2 is a value. 2 is assigned for A. 2 is assigned for A. Able to follow? Very good, children. So A is equal to 2 means 2 is a value which is being assigned to A. So how do we represent the changes in an algorithm? Changes the state of how the variables are just getting changed, how the values are just getting changed, how the state of the variables are just getting changed. See, as per the values gets changed, see the values, as the values of the variables are changed, the state also changes. Say for example, A is equal to A plus 3, where A is equal to 2. So 2 plus 3 will be 5 and the value will be stored in the same A. Now what will be the value of A? A is going to be 5. Initially it was 2 and now it is 5. The state changes as the value of the variable changes. Fine. Now let us see the states with respect to your traffic signal. See, a traffic signal may be in one of the 3 states. What are the colors that we have? Green, amber and red. So what happens? This actually is used to represent the state of traffic to be in a normal flow, right? If there is, if you want the vehicles to move, you will be using green, and if you want them to wait, you will be using red. And if you alert them to be ready for getting into an start state or stop state, you will be using amber light, isn't it? So this actually represents the change with respect to the flow of traffic. Next comes your control flow. Control flow is of two types. One is going to be sequential, the other one is going to be iterative. What is meant by the term sequential? If a process is going to go one after the other, then it is sequential. And if a process is going to be repeated for several number of times, it is going to be iterative. Yes, an algorithm continues in such a way. Fine. Say for example, if I'm going to prepare a cup of coffee, what will happen? I'll have milk, I'll have coffee powder, I'll have sugar. On boiling it, what I'll do? I'll be adding the coffee powder and sugar and I'll be serving it. This is one single process which comes one after the other. Sometimes it is going to be an iterative process. What is iterative process? I'll be repeating the same state again and again for refinement. Say for example, I'm just going to grain a flour. Fine. I'll regulate it again and again such that I'll get a fine powder. The process is actually repeated again and again. It is going to be iterative process. See, for calculating the surface area of a cylinder and the radius, what do? We have a formula 2 pi r square plus 2 pi r h. We saw this already in our first section itself, isn't it? So what do? We separately calculate surface area and we will be calculating the area of separately and circumference separately, and we will be adding it up together to provide a value, right? Now let us move on to the next topic, algorithm design technique. See, there are few basic principles and techniques for your designing algorithms. One is going to be specification. The first step in problem solving is a state to state the problem precisely. A problem is specified in terms of input given and the output desired. Or if you take a problem, the first step in a problem is to state the problem precisely. How the problem is going to be, how can we solve it, that we have to see in a easy manner. Okay, then what do? We will get the inputs and with respect to the inputs, what sort of output am I going to get, that we have to specify. Next, what should we specify? We must also state the properties of the given input and the relation between the input and the output. Next comes your abstraction. What is abstraction? A problem can involve a lot of details. Say for example, a patient is there and he is suffering from heart attack. So which part should be analyzed now? Should his legs should be determined or his brain should be checked? Which has to be checked right now? The heart, right? So what specialist do we need? The heart surgeon. Heart surgeon will be focusing only on the heart and not on any other part. The same way, abstraction is you will just leave out the unnecessary details and you will be focusing only on the details that you want. That is what is termed as abstraction. What is composition? See, an algorithm is composed of assignments and control flow statements. A control flow statement tests the condition of state and depending on the value of the condition decides the next statement to be executed or not. So what is it actually? See, say for example, I'm just adding up a is equal to 2, then I'll be adding it with, if I wanted to add a to a number of series from 1 to 10, fine, the value of a is going to be 0. Let me write such that you will understand. A value is equal to 0 and I have to add this value a from 1 to 10. How? 1 plus a, which is actually 1, right? Let us write like this, a is equal to a plus 1. So what is the value of a now? It is 1. Initially a value was 0. Now what will I do? I'll be adding a is equal to 1 plus, what is the next sequence that we have after 1? It is going to be 2. So it is equal to 3. What is the value of a now? It is 3. The sequence will be going on and on like this. Till what will we proceed? We will proceed till 1 plus 10. The value that we get over here plus 10. Is that clear? That is what? After 10, what will we do? We will be stopping with that because we don't have further process to continue. Alright? So, depending on the next statement only, the values will be executed. What about decomposition? We can divide the main algorithm into functions. We construct each function independently of the main algorithm and other functions. Finally, we construct the main algorithm using the functions. When we use the functions, it is enough to know the specifications of the function. It is not necessary to know how the function is implemented. See, what do we do in decomposition is, we will be dividing the algorithms, we will be dividing the problems into sub-problems, and we will be focusing on the sub-problems alone. Here we does not specify how we actually do it, what methods we are doing, but we will just divide it, we will be constructing the algorithm for the function, and we will be implementing in the main function as well. Right? So we never see which is actually we will never see how the function is actually implemented. Specification. To solve a problem, first we must state the problem clearly and precisely. Next, the problem is specified by given inputs and desired outputs. Next, what should we do? We should know the properties of the given input and the properties of the desired output. The goal of the algorithm is to establish the relationship between input and the output. All this we saw, isn't it? We will get the inputs, apply the algorithm to get the output. So, algorithm is actually specified by the properties of given input and the relation between the input and the desired output. What happens? The inputs and the outputs will be passed between the algorithms and the user through the variables. The values of the variables when the algorithm starts is in the initial state, and the values of the variables when the algorithm finishes is known as final state. Say for example, already we were talking about it, right? A is equal to 0. This is your initial state. Fine. What is the next step? Let us take till 1 to 3. That will be easy for me to calculate now. So, a is equal to a plus 1. This is my first state. What is value of 0? What is the value of a? 0. 0 plus 1, it is 1 now. What is the value of a now? 1. First we added a now. Now what we have to do? We have to do it for 2. So a is equal to a plus what? A plus 2. Because the series, next series. So a plus 2 means a value is 1. So what do you get? A is equal to 3. Now what I have to do now? A is equal to a plus 3. So 3 plus 3 is going to be 9. Initially the value of a was 0 and final state the value of a is 9. Right? Able to follow, kids? Let us take P as the required property of inputs, Q as property of desired outputs. Now let us take S is specified as algorithm name, inputs, outputs. Fine. Actually this double dash, why do we use this? This actually indicates the rest of the line is a comment. This double dash. This represents that it is an comment. The algorithm starts like this. In case if it starts with P, P means input, right? And it has to end up with Q. Q is your output. So write a specification of an algorithm to compute the quotient and the remainder after dividing an integer by another a by another integer b. For example, divide 22, 5, which is equal to 4, 2. How do we divide? Yes, children, how do we divide? It's 22 by 5. 5 fours are 20. What is the remainder that we get? 2. So, first it is going to be your quotient and next is going to be your remainder. The same is actually followed for your 15, 3 also. 3 5s are 15. So, the remainder is 0. 5 is your quotient and 0 is your remainder. Let A and B, the input variables, we will store the quotient in a variable Q and the remainder in a variable R. Now, we are writing algorithm for this. Fine. We are taking A and B as input variables. Why A and B? This is going to be A, this is going to be B, like that. Fine. So, A and B is going to be an input variable. We will store the quotient in Q. Quotient is going to be stored. Which is your quotient? 4 is your quotient, isn't it? 4 and 5 are going to be your quotient. One by one only we will be processing. So 4 we will take. will be stored in your variable q and the remainder will be stored in a variable r. So q and r are the output variables. Now we are going to write the properties for the inputs a and b. A should be an integer. Remainder is meaningful only for integer division, and b should not be 0 since division by 0 is not allowed. All these are the properties. We will specify the properties of the inputs as inputs a must be an integer and b should not be equal to 0. This is how your input should be. Fine. What is the desired relationship between inputs and outputs and the outputs q and r? The two outputs q and r should satisfy the property a is equal to q into b plus r, and the remainder should be less than the divisor b. So 0 is less than or equal to r, which is less than or equal to b. Combining these requirements, we will satisfy the desired output relation. Children, let us take the same value that we had. Fine. Let us take the values 22 and 5 itself. Fine. So this is going to be your a value and this is going to be your b value. So what I have to do is, a value must be like this. Q into b must be my a value. Q into b plus r must be my a value. Fine. So b, what is b value now? 4, isn't it? 22 divided by 4 only, no? 5. 5. So b is my 5. 22 divided by 5. This is what I am going to do. Let us consider like this. So b is going to be my 5 into, what will be the quotient that I get for this? 22. 5 4s are 20. So 4 plus, what will be the remainder that I got? 2. 5 4s are 20 plus 2, it is going to be 22. This is the formula that is actually being there for this a. Let me repeat. It was like this. 22 divided by 5. The value of this is a value and this is b value. On dividing, what will I get? 22, 5. 5 4s are 20. The remainder that I got is 2. This is my remainder. Yes. And 5 is my b value and 4 is my quotient. Now let us have a look at this formula. Q. What is q value now? 4. What is b value? 5. 4 5s are 20. What is the remainder? It is 2. So 4 5s are 20. 20 plus 2, it is 22. Is that clear, children? Yes. This is the formula that they have used over there. So how your output should be now? Output should be like this. A is equal to q into b plus r, where r lies between 0 and b. So this comment starts with dash inputs. Actually, the properties of the given inputs. The comment that starts with dash is required relation between inputs and outputs. Now they have written the algorithm. Divide a, b is the process that we wanted to do. What is the input? A is an integer, b should not be equal to 0. What is the output? A is equal to q into b plus r, and it should be within, the remainder should be within 0 and b. The value can be 0 also. It can be more than your b value. Fine, it can't be more than your b value. So specification format, we can write the algorithm specification in a three parts. The name of the algorithm and the inputs. Next, first one is the name of the algorithm. Second one is you wanted the inputs, and third one is going to be our outputs. Fine. Write a specification of algorithm for computing a square root of numbers. So square roots, how do you calculate square roots? Now the name of the algorithm is square root. It takes the number as input. Now let us take an input n. N should not be a negative number for taking any square roots. It produces square root of n as the output. Now let us name the output as y. Input was n and output is going to be y. Then n should be a square of y. So how they have written the algorithm now? Name of the algorithm, square root of the input n. input is n must be a real number, it should not be any negative number, and it must be greater than 0 as well. And what is the output? Output is y is a real number such that when we do y square, the value should be n. Now comes specification as contract. Specification of an algorithm serves as a contract between designer of the algorithm and the users of the algorithm. How do you specify? Specification of an algorithm serves as a contract between designer of an algorithm and users of the algorithm because it defines the right and responsibilities of the user and the designer. Ensuring that the input satisfies the required properties is the responsibility of the user, but the right of the designer. The desired output and input relation is the responsibility of the designer and the right of the user. Importantly, if the user fails to satisfy the properties of the input, the designer is free from his obligation to satisfy the desired input-output relation. What are they actually telling here? It is that, see, if you give the inputs properly, if the user is clear with the inputs and if he is specifying everything clearly, then the output will be perfect enough. Clear? Output will be perfect enough. In case if the inputs are not being clear, then we cannot be very sure with getting desired outputs. Is that clear, children? So, properties of inputs, the responsibilities. A user has the responsibility, right? And then only the algorithm, the designer can make it right. And if he is going to make the decisions correct, if the user is going to make the inputs correct, the responsibility of the output will be perfect. Clear, children? Already we know an abstraction, right? We will be concentrating only on the important things and we will leave out the unwanted details. See, for a bicycle, to ride a bicycle, it is sufficient for you to know the functioning of pedal, handlebar and the brakes and bell. Right? As a rider, we model a bicycle by these 4 features only. We have lot more details inside it, but the rider actually ignores it, isn't it? Because it is irrelevant for the purpose of riding a bicycle. The problem can involve a lot of details. Several of these details are irrelevant for solving a problem. Only a few details are essential. Abstraction is a process of ignoring or hiding irrelevant details. Already I told you, isn't it? See, what do we do here? For riding a bicycle, you wanted to know whether there is a brake, whether the bell is proper, is there a pedal, and if the handlebar is proper for me to drive. I will not bother about anything and everything that is behind woods, right? We will forget everything. The only thing is there must be a smooth way for me to drive. All the expectations of a rider is that much only. But behind woods you will have so many details that we will not bother. The same way only in an algorithm, if a problem is arriving, we will focus only on the problem. What could be the solution for it? Only that we will focus, and we will leave out all the other details that is actually not important. A map is an abstraction of the things we find on the ground. We do not represent every detail on the ground. The map maker picks out the details that we need to know. Different maps are drawn for different purposes. So we use different abstractions. See, you would have seen map, isn't it? An outline will be there. And if you are going to design it only for, in geography and all, you would have learned, isn't it? For jute, crop growing and all, you will have different textures, and you will focus only on those parts with that specifications. And if it is going to be for coal mine, for the gold mine, you will have different specifications. So the map itself differs with details. Yes, you will not focus on the whole world map. We draw the whole world map and we never specify anything inside it properly, isn't it? Only we focus on the countries, and for sometimes we may even focus on wonders also, isn't it? So whatever we need alone we focus, and the rest we just leave out. And this is going to be the same. In medicine, different specialists work with different abstractions of human body. I have already spoke about it, isn't it? As you read, you will be able to understand this. What is a state? State is a basic and important abstraction. Computational process have state. A computational process starts with an initial state. Actions are performed. Its state changes, and its end with a final state. State of process is abstracted by a set of variables in an algorithm. The state at any point of execution is simply the values of the variables at that point. I already told you. What did we say? Initially A was 0. On adding, the value changed, right? So it started up with an initial state. As the actions are performed, you got a final state with some other value. Now let us have an example for this as well. Chocolate bars. Chocolate bars is divided into squares by horizontal and vertical grooves. We wish to break the bar into individual squares. To start with, we have the whole bar as a single piece. A cut is made by choosing a piece and breaking it along one of its grooves. Thus, a cut divides a piece into two pieces. How many cuts are needed to break the bar into individual squares? Everyone would have eaten up dairy milk. We will have that as an example. So, for your 10 rupees dairy milk or for 40 rupees dairy milk or whatever the rate is, you will have blocks, isn't it? So, the problem is this. I wanted to divide the pieces into square pieces, separate square pieces, right? So thus a cut divides a piece into two pieces. Yes or no? Let us have a vertical bar. Let us have a vertical bar like this. This is going to be a chocolate. Let us imagine, if I am going to break it this way, how many pieces will I have? This side one piece, this side one piece, this side one piece. It is going to be of two pieces. Yes, again if I divide, it is going to be a further two pieces, isn't it? So finally, how many cuts will you be able to do to make it to an individual squares? This is an problem. So the number of pieces and the number of cuts are the essential variables of an algorithm. We will represent them by two variables P and C. Thus, the process is abstracted by two variables P and C. So here, what are the irrelevant details? The problems could be cutting a chocolate bar into individual pieces or cutting a sheet of postage stamps into individual stamps. It is irrelevant. The problem is simply cutting a grid of squares into individual squares. We are not talking about whether we are going to cut a chocolate into pieces or whether we are going to cut the whole stamps into squares. All that we are doing is we are just going to cut a bar of squares into a individual square. So the sequence of cuts are made by the shapes and the sizes resulting in the pieces are irrelevant too, right? The sequence of cuts. Yes, you cannot specify that it will be only of this shape and size. So from P and C we cannot reconstruct the sizes of individual pieces, but that is relevant to solve the problem as well. Now let us take goat, grass, wolf problem. In this case, we will write a specification of this problem. We will solve it and we have already learned this, but still the problem involves four individuals. Each is at one of the two sides of the river. That means we can represent the state of four variables. Each of them has one of the two values. Let us name the variable as farmer, goat, grass and wolf. See, left to right, right to left, this we already explained. First everything will be in left side, and then I have to take everything to the right side and the final state, isn't it? What is the name of the algorithm? It is going to be crossing the river. What is the input that we have? Farmer, goat, grass and wolf, everything on the left side. Finally everything should be on the right side. This is the output, isn't it? So the goat cannot be on the left, cannot be left alone because grass with a left alone with the grass. The goat cannot be left alone with the grass. So if goat is equal to grass, then farmer is equal to goat. Then goat cannot be left alone with a wolf. We already know this, isn't it? So what is assignment statement? Variables are named boxes. A is equal to 2. I already told you, right? A is equal to 2. 2 is being assigned to A is going to be an variable, 2 is going to be the value. Variable colon is equal to value. See here, when the assignment is executed, the value of on the right side is stored in the variable on the left side. M is equal to 2. 2 is actually stored to M. If the variables already has a value stored in it, assignment changes its value to the value on the right side. The old value of the variable is lost. So what happens, see, when we do the operation like this, M is equal to M plus 3, M, there will be a value for it already, and when I updated, what will happen? The value of M will be changed. Yes. Initially M was 2, on adding it with 3, it was changed to 5. So what is the value that we have for 5? It is value for M, it is going to be 5. Initially it was 2 and now it is 5. Yes, the two sides of an assignment statement are separated by a colon equal to. This is for just for representing an assignment operator. A is equal to 2 means we are assigning value 2 to A. The assignment statement is V colon is equal to E. Variable is equal to value. Fine. See, the meanings of V colon E and V is equal to E are different. Assignment does not state the mathematical equality of a variable but changes the value of the variable. The assignment M is equal to M plus 3 does not state that M is equal to M plus 3. Rather, it changes the value of the variable M to the value of the expression M plus 3. And what have we done here? V1, V2, V3 is equal to E1, E2, E3. V1 will be equal to E1, V2 will be equal to E2, V3 will be equal to E3. We are just assigning 3 values together. Fine. The last 6.13 will be an assignment for you. Try this on your own. Check if you can do it. Fine. Yes, children, with this lesson just gets over. We shall see the rest in your next class. Write 2 marks, 3 marks, 5 marks in your classwork notebook as well. Try to solve this algorithms. Yes, thank you, children.